This week on Whiskey Movie Club, we're drinking Clyde Mays Bourbon Whiskey and talking Terminator Dark Fate.
As long as there is whiskey in the world, we get to drink away the heartache.
All right, so we're drinking Clyde Mays Bourbon Whiskey. Have you guys had this yet?
Not yet.
No. Me neither. It has a cool bottle. Where is the bottle? Where did I put it? It's all old-timey looking. And its texture, it's pretty. It's got who you think to be Clyde.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably him.
He probably was hanging out with James Dean at some point.
No, that's like Dust Bowl era, dude. This is like James Dean was a kid.
But yeah, I mean, he looks like he's aloof
It's
like
like-
that.
No, it's since 1946.
Yeah, but
there you go.
doesn't he look like from the Grapes of Wrath? Like he's driving cross country.
Not really. To me, I'm getting more like an old-timey baseball player kind
Ooh.
of vibe.
Okay.
Like I'm getting like a Field of Dreams, but never actually won or made it on the team.
Okay.
We just all agree he was
a
the
little
cool kid
rockabilly.
in school.
I'm
Not
not.
with those teeth.
No.
Sorry, Clyde Mays. Your teeth suck.
I don't think he was the cool kid in school.
No, he's but
Not bad though.
does he
Well,
make
that's
good whiskey?
The whiskey's better than his teeth.
Maybe that's how his teeth got so bad.
That's weird.
He's just trying to open up all the
It's good,
bottles of
though.
whiskey.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of character. It's kind of spicy.
It is a little spicy.
A little spicy, yeah. I would say it's got more of a flavor profile than some of the ones we've had. Put it in the upper third.
It's got like kind of a weird Play-Doh taste to it. And it sounds like it's a negative, but
So I'm drinking mine mixed.
yeah, you're
So
drinking.
I'm drinking. My opinion's going to be a little. I don't know.
But
be a
how
little bit more
is it
different.
mixed as a sour?
I think it's good. I would say that like it lingers a bit in the back of your throat. Like
Yeah, it does.
it definitely has that like leftover like whiskey taste in the back of your throat, which
Well,
isn't a bad thing.
It is a whiskey.
Yeah.
It's true.
Fair point. You know, point
But,
Jason. I guess. We're gonna
Okay.
get competitive on this.
I wasn't trying to get competitive.
Normally, we do a cork sound, and
Yeah.
you're a big fan of corks.
It's actually wood.
It's a wood cork.
So it's an actual cork.
Yeah, so some of our favorite whiskeys that, as far as flavor goes, it's all plastic and like. But this one, they're fully committed. It's nice.
cork.
It's old timey.
Old timey.
Well, okay,
It feels
It's a-
real.
It's a little light.
it is,
a
but
bit.
cork is light.
Yeah, but
So one of the things that I love about bourbon, or any whiskey, but particularly
I don't know.
bourbon, is the
People do
history
that in
associated with
movies.
it. Like it feels like you're traveling back in time, and they really capture. Like this bottle feels old timey. The label feels old timey.
but not like too old timey. Like I wouldn't be worried about opening it, but I would say if it was a little bit dusty, I probably would question how old it is.
Aged
Like
to perfection.
like when you see in movies when people like walk into like a really old house or like a really old
Right.
library and they see that like one dusty bottle.
They open up their globe and it's holding
Yeah,
this
and
bottle,
they're
and they're
like-
like, "I've been saving this for a special occasion."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Don't waste that on me, sir."
That's what it looks like.
So this
That's
is like
the vibe
haunted
I'm getting.
house whiskey.
But I would say at the same time, yes, I would definitely describe it as haunted house whiskey. It's too busy on the front.
You think the label's
there's
too busy?
There's a lot happening on the front. Like I don't know where to look.
This is true. They kind of have a film strip on the top though, which is neat.
It's like
Yeah, I
film
like
strip
that.
or maybe like negatives of some sort.
Yeah.
It just feels like they couldn't figure out what they wanted, like what font they wanted on
A
the
lot of
front.
typography.
So
on
they
this.
just
Yeah.
like were like, what else can we add so we make Mary in marketing really happy that she got her cursive writing on there that she's been working so hard on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like the label a little bit, but you know what? It tastes better than it looks.
Fair enough.
That's
So-
for sure.
So
Speaking of which, Terminator, in my opinion, looked a lot better than I thought it was going to.
Thought you were going to say
I
looked better
agree.
than it tastes.
I tried
it left
tasting.
a really whiskey.
I
taste
really
in the
tried
back of my
tasting that
mouth.
movie, but they just kept kicking me off the set.
Sir,
Don't lick that, sir.
stop that.
So what does Arnold taste like?
Ar-
Sweat.
just
Old,
pure
salty.
man.
I was going to say,
You already knew what pure man tastes like?
You clearly this
There's a
is
lot
your
you
first
don't
time
know.
on the show.
there's an outtake video. We'll send you a link.
Oh, perfect.
Which one? The old sailor one?
The Lagavulin tastes like.
Oh
Oh my god, I was gonna suggest Lagavulin.
Lagavulin's great. You like Lagavulin?
Well, I've never had Lagavulin, but Ron Swanson really likes Lagavulin.
Gin and tonic, please. Belay that order, Dana. Lagavulin neat. Clear alcohols are for rich women on diets.
Lagavulin, I mean this as a really big compliment.
Oh, no.
It no.
Oh, like a
Lagavulin
build-up.
is a kick in the teeth.
Yes.
It
It's
is
strong.
because one of the things they
makes sense.
Scotch is most scotches has a very peaty taste because they use the peat from to heat the I'm slaughtering this. I'm sorry. Tell me how they make Scotch whiskey in the comments below. But it's got a really strong peaty taste, and Lagavulin has one of the strongest peaty tastes.
Okay.
And so when you not even when you taste it, when you get it to your mouth, it's like a Scotsman kicking you in the face.
Yeah, I think
be
we
the new
described it
slogan.
as
I wish it
drinking
was.
a campfire.
Yes.
Oh, okay. See, now I've got a whole. You
In
made a word picture.
In that episode, we went on a rant where we kept saying it tastes like this. It
You
tastes
keep
like
saying we, sir.
this is true. This tastes like if Burt Reynolds were a cologne.
You're not wrong.
This is the essence of lumberjack.
Yes.
This tastes like Sam Elliott's voice. This tastes like the American frontier. This tastes like a hard day's worth of work. You know in Braveheart, when William Wallace screams, freedom? This tastes like that.
It's like that moment.
This tastes like that moment, yes.
I don't know if like you watch Parks and Recreation.
Yes.
Okay, so you know the whole Lagavulin
Yeah.
in Parks and Rec. So I always think of like Ron Swanson, who Nick Offerman plays, and actually Nick Offerman is like he's a classically trained ballet dancer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a
Not
classically
know that.
trained ballet dancer, and he's like a classically trained actor. But like
His books are good.
his books are so good.
And he's a good
going on
word worker.
tour. Yeah, he owns
Builds
the-
tables and shit.
The Ron Swanson's wood shop in Parks and Recreation is Nick Offerman's workshop.
I didn't know it was
In
his
real
real one.
life.
I knew he has a real one because I follow him on
That's his
Instagram
real
and
one.
he posts. That's
That's
wild.
his real one. Yeah, he
Yeah.
made canoes for all of the people on the show for the last season.
That's cool.
That's
but
very cool.
like,
Do you see the video he released a few years ago of him just sipping whiskey in front of a
well, he actually
Yule log?
he's actually
Yeah.
partnered with Lagavulin now.
Yeah, so I was they released that whiskey, the Ron Swanson whiskey, 4 weeks ago, and I
weeks
haven't
ago.
been able to get my hands on it. It's like $100 and something, I think. So it's
People
probably
love Ron
good.
Swanson.
I haven't been able to find it because I probably shouldn't spend that kind of
I
money.
don't know
on
if you can say it's good. I mean, it's fan service. So if there are probably people who don't even drink it who just bought it because Ron Swanson.
This is probably
Yeah.
true, but I do
A lot
enjoy
of the,
Lagavulin.
So, Elena, first time here on the show.
Yep.
Welcome. Good
Thank
to have
you.
you.
Excited.
Also, fun fact I've learned about you: first time seeing a Terminator movie.
Ever.
Ever.
Anything. When I got into the car, I said, let's take into the 6th installment in a franchise I've never seen before.
To be fair, it's technically the 3rd installment because 3 of the movies don't count.
But the Sarah Connor Chronicles TV show, would that count?
I've
I
actually
think
never seen it.
no.
It was on Fox. It had River from Firefly in it.
Yes.
And it didn't even last one season.
Then I would say no, it doesn't
Classic
count.
Fox.
So I can't. There's some questions I could ask to find out.
Yeah.
But it would spoil the movie, and I don't want to spoil the movie just yet. So
Okay.
did you know? What did you know about Terminator going into this?
So I will say that like Terminator, I feel like was such a moment in pop culture that it's referenced throughout like so many other
like
things.
1 and 2 are like the cultural
It's so
zeitgeist.
iconic.
Yeah.
So I knew like the basic like I'll be back.
Come
I
with me
knew
if you wanna
that
live.
come with me if you want to live. The Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it. I knew from an episode of How I Met Your Mother the way that the Terminators show up like all nude and they're like in that stance because Barney in How I Met Your Mother, that's one of his moves to pick up women.
Oh,
Did
do
not
remember
age
this.
well.
Right.
How I
Does
Met
not
Your
age
Mother?
well.
Yeah.
No. How I Met Your Mother. But that's a whole other different discussion.
That's
all
a
the
different
TV shows
can
that
of
kind of
worms.
died, like it
yeah.
post Me Too.
Yeah, they don't hold up as well. Hot take. But I would say that I knew the basics. I will say I did not know until today that Arnold Schwarzenegger was the bad guy.
Well, to be fair,
I didn't know
in the
that.
first one he was the bad guy. Second one
second
he
one-
was the good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And
I thought
any
the
other
guy
time
from the
he's
second
shown
guy
up.
was the bad guy in the first one, was what I thought.
Gotcha.
no, so in the first one
He's the bad guy.
He's the bad guy,
Yes,
and it's
I've learned this
some
now.
other dude he's trying to save him from. And then in the second one, they co-opt the technology and send it back to save John Connor, right?
Yeah, so in the second one, the scientist who is being forced by Skynet to make Terminators and send back the T-1000 reprograms an old T-800 and sends him back to protect John Carter.
That's right.
And
I
so
will
he's like,
say-
there you go, good luck. I sent you the old toaster.
Right.
I will say I knew like some of the terminology. I knew what Skynet was. I did know like T-1000, T-800. I did know like those terms. But other than that, I was able to piece together parts of it. But as you can tell, not knowing that Arnold Schwarzenegger was the bad guy in the first one, not the whole picture. So
Okay, well, I think you have an interesting perspective then.
yeah,
So,
you
Yeah.
actually told me not to watch them.
yeah, like when we were having drinks last night, you said,
Yeah.
"Do I need to watch these movies?" And I said, "No." because I think it's an interesting perspective to have.
And I'm kind of glad I didn't.
What'd you think of the movie? Not having seen.
Yeah.
I
Initial
was
thoughts.
worried going in that I would be confused about everything before it, but I didn't. I feel like they set it up perfectly that someone who'd never seen a Terminator movie before, understood everything that was happening. I had no trouble keeping up.
It's kind of surprising. I mean, just other than a few plot holes, it's a shockingly well-written movie.
Oh, I feel like there are plot holes.
Obviously,
there's a lot of
anytime
them.
there's time travel.
It also depends on what type of time travel we're dealing with.
Right. There's time travel. There's obviously just crazy technology that they don't. I do appreciate they don't try and explain it. It's the flux capacitor of sci-fi where they just go.
Yeah.
It just works.
It happens.
They even make a point in Dark Fate to say like I'm doing future stuff. Like she's trying, she breaks like a phone to see it.
Yeah.
Like what are you doing? And she says
like
I'm doing future
shit.
stuff. Or future shit. I don't.
Yeah.
I just saw it, but you'd think I'd remember more.
So we'll jump into the plot holes. So usually what we do is we'll kind of just give our initial thoughts, and then we'll jump into spoilers. That way, if someone hasn't seen it, they can still, they can figure out if they want to see it or
It's
not.
like stop watching here if you want.
Yeah, we'll give people a warning, so keep watching. We're not going to spoil anything for at least a few more minutes. Do you think people should see this movie? Would you recommend it? Let me rephrase it. Who should see this movie?
Teenage boys.
Teenage boys,
really love
because it's attractive women kicking ass.
But also you know what? I'll say teenagers as a whole, because I actually feel like, and this might be a hot take, I felt like the female empowerment of this movie was done better than Captain Marvel. I extremely disliked Captain Marvel for how they handled like having a female protagonist,
because it felt contrived.
It was so much like. What is it? She's starting to fight, and it's like I'm just a girl's playing. It's like, come on.
Yeah, they were a bit
That's
heavy-handed.
a little heavy-handed, you think? And it's just like, or my favorite line, "We'll come back for it." What? The weapon? No, the woman.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I think I walked away from Captain Marvel going, I wish they had just let her be a badass like superhero chick, and less being like, and also she's a girl.
Yeah.
Don't forget. And you're like, just let her be cool.
Which I do feel like they did in Dark
Yeah,
Fate.
because the main protagonist, the lady, she is undoubtedly a badass.
Yeah.
She's kind of she's augmented, as they say, and it never comes up that she's a female, other than obviously she's a woman.
Yeah.
She just kicks a tremendous amount of ass.
Great.
Even from the beginning, Sarah Connor was always kind of a badass. Well, first one not so much, but like the second movie, she was a badass.
And in this one,
movie.
she is undoubtedly a badass.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So she was kind of a badass before it was cool to be a badass.
Totally.
Yeah.
What do you think, Travis?
I enjoyed it as a having seen all the Terminator movies, and I'm kind of I won't say that if you saw Terminator 2 3D's re-release, I worked on a little bit of that.
Did you really?
I did.
Which scenes did you?
Not a whole lot. I did some like smoke augmentation for some of the scenes, especially when the T-1000 is like walking through the liquid nitrogen kind of steam stuff. So some of that.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, not a whole lot of it. A different team was working on it and kind of got brought on at the end there for a little bit. That brief aside, having seen all the Terminator movies, I put it somewhere in the same realm of Terminator Salvation. I like that movie. I know a lot of people didn't, but I still really like Terminator 2, number one. Terminator 1 I like too, but it's a different type of movie, much like Alien and Aliens, where one is like more of a horror movie and one's an action movie. Terminator 1 is like a slasher film. It's a non-stopping, like just always on their tail, chasing these two people down. Where Terminator 2 is a big action flick. There's a lot of explosion. There's like
with a bit of social
crazy
commentary.
So this
and a really good film.
Yeah, so I like both of those movies, and I kind of view them as separate types of films, where Terminator 3 is like meh, schlocky, and then Terminator Genesis was garbage. I also worked on that one, just self-plug.
I worked on this garbage movie.
That movie was
What was the
bad.
one that had Christian Bale in it? Was that
That's
Salvation?
Salvation. And I like Salvation because they had always been talking about this end war with Skynet, and so we actually got to kind of see that.
Yeah.
And so it takes place in that era. I thought they did some cool things, but it's not what people wanted from a Terminator film, so I could see where people didn't care for it. So I put it kind of at that level of just sort of like, you kind of have to just grin through the plot holes and just kind of shut your brain off for some of the things and not be like, that doesn't make any sense, and then be like, don't overthink it. Just eat your popcorn, sit
time
down,
travel action movie.
have some good times.
Doing
yeah.
future shit.
So who should see this?
I think fans of the series will want to check it out, like pretty die-hard fans. It may not be your favorite, but it's going to be worth
better,
watch. Yeah.
You know.
Anyone just looking for like one last summer action blockbuster?
Well, so one of the other, you know, sci-fi action movies is Zombieland Double Tap. Mm-hmm. What would you see? This or Double Tap? If someone could only see one, what would they see this weekend?
I'd say whichever franchise you're a bigger fan of.
Okay, that's fair.
And if you like the Terminator movies, but you really love Zombieland, go see the second Zombieland.
Aside from a few shots, the VFX in Terminator was vastly better than Double Tap. Double Tap was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I haven't seen it yet.
It's bad. It's sci-fi original series bad.
Ooh,
but
first
some,
season of Doctor
But
Who
there's
bad.
also really
yeah.
with less
Mickey's
fun
the rubber
times.
man.
But like in Dark Fate, there's also some bad.
There's
CG.
some bad
There's a couple
CG
shots that
in
stood out
Dark
here.
Fate, and
Actually, had some
I have a
questions about
theory that they just spent so much of their time getting the new Terminator effects to look as good as they can that they were like kind of slept on some of the other shots, and they're like, well, we got to get those done.
Particularly
so just,
the CG renders of the people getting thrown through the air.
yeah, anyone jumping through the air or being thrown out of a car or something, those looked a little rough.
I did have some questions about the CGI. If I can jump in, or is that like?
Not right now.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
I'll just go under the
I'll
table.
just be like, shh, shh, shh. And then she breaks the bottle and stabs me.
Oh, so I can ask my
Yes,
question.
of course.
You can
I
do
didn't know where
whatever
we
you
were
want.
going with this.
There are no rules
There
here.
are no rules,
Okay.
and
Only
your
you're like
opinion-
what we usually do here. Like, okay.
We break
my
rules.
question was, having never seen any of the Terminator movies, I'm going to preface this
Mm-hmm.
a lot.
That's fine.
The scene in the beginning where Schwarzenegger does. Oh wait, I can't say. Can I say? Am I
Maybe
allowed
wait till
to say?
spoilers.
Let's
first.
wait
No,
till-
yeah, we'll wait for
Okay,
spoilers
I'll
on
wait
that.
till
Yeah,
then.
because
Okay, I
that's
didn't
a-
know if that was spoilers or not. That's what I was
Yes,
basically
we
saying.
don't
There's
know
some
that
de-aging that was a
Yes.
little weird.
So that's what I was going to ask. If they did have to do de-aging or if that was from a previous film. That's a non-spoiler.
No,
way
So
to
the
that-
say
Sarah
they
Connor
did.
one wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't like
Oh, the de-aging on her?
chapter 2 bad. And the kid looked fine.
Could look fine.
thought the kid was just an
Schwarzenegger
actor.
looked. So I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler. Schwarzenegger shows up in this. He's in the trailer, right?
Yeah, he
And if you
is.
didn't assume that Schwarzenegger's going to pop up in this when what's her face, Linda Hamilton is showing up in it, you're crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's obvious.
My main question was, did they have to do de-aging? Or
Yes.
if that was from a previous movie?
Yeah,
If
they
so,
they probably did what they did in, was it Salvation? One of them has a full CG like Arnold Schwarzenegger in there.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
this-
I think it was
I
Salvation
just thought
that
it
had
was
that.
so jarring to go from like de-aging that I thought was pretty good to like Terminators that looked very, what's it, Ultron from Age of
Yeah.
Ultron. Like, I just thought it was a little jarring.
a little rough.
yeah.
Jason, what are your initial thoughts on this?
Overall, I liked it. I wasn't a big fan of anything after 2 a whole lot. They were just kind of there for me. I watched them once and never went back to revisit. But overall, I liked 3. I know there's some holes there, but I just enjoyed it. It was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I mean, I
Simple, short, and sweet on that one.
it was better than I forgot that Tim Miller directed it.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I hadn't thought about that in months. And so when I went and saw it today, I went in assuming it was going to be garbage. I was not excited about it. This is one of the movies I was least excited about seeing for Whiskey Movie Club. And maybe because of that, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it
Venom
was...
effect.
What's that?
The Venom effect
Yes.
is what I like to call it.
Well, I went in assuming Venom was going to be garbage.
Yeah, and I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was going to be complete trash, but I thought it was a rather enjoyable.
I was looking for
That's a
sharp
different
objects.
episode.
Yeah.
It's a different,
Yeah.
like a
Yes.
symbiote.
But no, I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I think there's certain things that there's problems with it, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a worthwhile sequel to Terminator 2. I particularly liked the opening shot because it was somewhat reminiscent of the
Yes.
opening shot of Terminator 2.
Yes.
But on a beach, which was kind of cool.
I was waiting for a foot to step.
Yeah, but it never
Me
does.
too, it never
I was like,
does.
yeah.
And it was, the scene on the bridge. I mean, this isn't spoilers because it's in the trailer. Was the first thing they released was the scene on the bridge where Sarah Connor comes
The
in.
highway
The
chase.
highway, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that was coming, and they do that in the first act, which is nice. So you're not waiting the whole movie for it. But when that scene came out and Sarah Connor rolls in and kicks ass, we know she does it because it's in the trailer. Even though it was in the trailer or trailers, it was still so fucking cool. Like, despite the plot holes, which there are a few,
Mm-hmm.
this is still a really cool movie. It's a fun action movie. It's dope. It gets your blood pumping, and I was jazzed. I really.
Oh, sorry.
No, yeah, by all means, Jason.
Well, sorry. Jump right on in. One of the things I really liked, I felt through this film that there was something at stake.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the new Terminator, the bad Terminator is like he's gonna get him. These guys don't have time to stop and relax, and they're always on the run. And I just felt there was something at stake.
You're pretty sure that I forget the main gal they're trying to save. What's her name?
Daniela. Or Danny,
Danny.
as her friends call her.
Her friends usually.
I figured she survived. She kind of has to. But as far as everyone else, like, you had no idea if any of them were going to survive.
Right.
Yeah.
And without getting into spoilers, we don't want to say who does and who doesn't. But it feels very up in the air, and I enjoyed that a lot. The fight scenes were suspenseful. They were well, executed. If you like action movies, you like blowing shit up, I think you definitely need to see it.
Go see it.
Yeah. You want to jump into spoilers?
Yeah.
Before we do that, I do want to talk about one thing that I noticed with this movie in particular that I really didn't like, which was how in the very beginning, I guess this is spoilers, technically, in the very beginning they're showing like an old videotape from like 97 or before 97 from like of Sarah Connor telling somebody what's going to happen.
Yeah. That's straight from
yeah.
Terminator.
I
2.
figured as much because of the
the
quality, for lack of a better term.
In the second one, she's in a mental institute because no one believes her.
But they keep flashing to like the production companies that are making it.
Oh,
so like I'm fine with that. But then like right after they flashed to all of the production company logos, then it was like the water on the beach. They flashed them all again. I'm like, I just saw that you made this movie.
Did they?
Do I have to
don't
see you
remember that.
on there twice? Like, yeah, they literally would cut to like, Miramax has their whole like
Yeah.
thing. It was like that, but for their production companies, and they just showed all of them, and then it shows the water on the ground,
and
and
then
they
they do
do
the
it all
CGs
over
over.
again.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
just saw this. Do I really need to
It's not necessary.
do them again? It was just a little overkill.
It is
in my
overkill.
opinion.
No, you're not wrong.
I just
not
wanted
wrong.
to point that out because
Yeah.
at the time I was really annoyed.
But the shot was cool. The opening shot is really awesome.
I liked it a lot, especially since like you know that it's gonna be revealing a skull, and I was expecting a Terminator foot to come step on it because that's an iconic bit of like the Terminator series.
It's because you never saw
You
it.
haven't seen the other ones, yeah.
But
I was
that's
gonna be
one
like,
thing-
here we go, and then I was like, I do like this like slow tide releasing a little bit
Right.
more of what you already know is gonna be.
But there was a
skull.
lot of them building something and then subverting your expectations.
Right.
Like the sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they build the music,
Yeah,
you hear the
I
drums.
enjoyed that.
You're
And
just
he-
going to put it in the...
Yeah, I
Yeah.
enjoyed that. I thought that was nice.
There was a lot of moments where I thought they were going to get really self-indulgent, and they didn't. I feel like this was a lot more restrained than it could have been. And
Yeah.
probably in anyone else's hands, other than Tim Miller, it probably would have been a lot more... it would have been a lot less self-aware
Heavy-handed.
and heavy-handed.
Yeah.
A little meta.
A little
too
schlocky.
meta.
Yeah. I am disappointed Ryan Reynolds doesn't pop up. Tim Miller, Deadpool.
Yeah.
You know, it would have made me happy.
He could be in the background somewhere.
Ooh.
I mean, that has
Nope. A
happened
deep
before.
cut
No.
reference to him somewhere.
So-
You never know.
Deadpool
like,
versus the new Terminator, who wins?
Like, do you mean in a fight or do you
In a
mean like
fight.
movie-wise?
You put him in a cage.
Terminator.
Deadpool
I
can't
think so.
die.
He can't die.
He literally dies in the last movie at one point, but he comes back.
Oh, that's because they
Yeah.
de-mutant him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
so-
he can die.
Is he still Deadpool at that point though? If he gets de-mutant.
So which Deadpool are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like current Deadpool or like Ryan Reynolds' first iteration of Deadpool that everybody wants to ignore and
we
never
don't
talk
talk about that.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, never mind. I must have dreamed that. It didn't happen.
All right, so let's jump into spoilers. So if you haven't seen it and you like Terminator, go see it. If you're not a big fan, there's no reason.
There's
for you to
other
see it.
other
Yeah.
movies.
There's a lot of great movies coming out.
A lot of
Zombieland
movies
2,
out
which
already.
apparently has really awful graphics.
Yeah.
It's not a great movie.
Really? That's really disappointing.
So
Oh,
okay, well, here's what.
Go back, watch
That's a-
our
that's a
episode on that.
Zombieland
We talked
episode.
about
like,
that.
Just so you know,
Yeah.
like I hadn't seen Zombieland in many years. I hadn't seen it since pre-Me Too, and so then we go and watch Zombieland Double Tap, and it's quite obvious.
Oh.
Yeah, like there's.
But they kind of poke fun
they
at that
do. They're like,
sometimes.
oh, that's a very 2009 joke, but you're like, it's.
Oh man, just watch Cabin Fever. I'm telling you, I've said it again before and I'll say it again. If you want to watch a movie that is awful, 2000s, pre-Me Too, pre-PC, pre-anything, that is good, watch Cabin Fever. Ryder Strong,
Did you
I
just
met
say
you.
it's good?
It's
something.
so bad that you enjoy it because you're like, oh yeah, that was a time in our lives that we all existed thinking this was okay, and it's not okay. And I even met Ryder Strong like the weekend after I watched it. That's why I watched it, and he was not pleased when I told him I watched that. He was, oh okay.
Oh.
I don't think it's
my.
a good thing he puts on his resume. It's not good. Just watch it. That's a whole other
All
thing
right.
we could talk about. But we'll move on.
All right, so jumping into spoilers, I think the big shocker of the movie is that Connor dies. Like in
John
the
Connor
first, John
early
Connor
on.
dies. You know, the Terminator walks.
child.
He shoots him with a shotgun.
As a child.
Just blasts him.
Well, and to me,
Although on the beach, the Terminator kills a mother and a child too.
But well, you don't see that.
That's true. They turn away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They flash it. And
I kind of liked it because it made sense.
Yeah.
Because at
Right.
the end of Terminator 2, they're like, cool, there we go. But I was like, it would make sense that Skynet would just send
Another
a
one.
dozen like Terminators to just various points in time and be like, go get them.
Yeah.
And so even after they've changed the future where Skynet like no longer exists, there's still Terminators, which gets you into the weird,
Yeah.
wobbly time travel,
Timey-wimey,
shenanigans.
wibbly wobbly,
Yeah,
timey-wimey.
Scientists still don't fully understand
Multiverse.
how time travel would work and
Like-
how it would
Yeah.
affect.
So it's like, did they stop Skynet from happening? So, but then there's still a Skynet in a different universe that is sending it back to that universe, and it gets all kind of wonky. My big beef was the T-800. So it's Terminator 1 Terminators
This
goes
is the one that kills.
kills John
John.
Carter, which would make sense that that one would be programmed to go kill Sarah Connor. So we're getting into some Terminator lore hijinks here.
Well, it depends on
Makes
at what point they
sense.
send him. If they
With,
send him,
if it was John Carter's the target, they would have sent more T-1000s.
well, they might have just like shot him across time and said, okay, in 1982 is when Terminator 1 came out, kill the mom to prevent John Connor.
Right, but then send another one to kill John Carter. I
But
guess
if
that would
they're
make
sending
sense.
them throughout different points in time,
Sure.
they're
Okay.
covering their ass.
I would. All right.
They're
I'll
throwing mud at a wall.
I'll
See what
I'll,
happens.
I'll
Spaghetti.
hand wave that bit
Spaghetti
away.
wall.
Because that I don't.
Whatever
I think
sticks,
that actually makes
that's
sense.
the one they go
Sure.
with.
But I wrote down in my notes that after he kills John Connor, I'm like, he doesn't have a secondary protocol. Like what you would think Skynet being a supercomputer would be like, cool, kill John Carter after completion of primary protocol. Start killing all humans or something like that. He
Get a
just
head
kind of
start.
like cool, my job's done, drops the shotgun and just walks off into the sunset.
But I do kind of like that he evolves into being more human.
I'll do not.
Really?
Doesn't
Yeah.
really make sense.
It makes no sense for a
No.
robot. In fact, they even have it in the movie. Sarah Connor's like, wait, you grew a conscience or whatever? He's like, no, some assimilation of one. So just having no protocol, he kind of sat around and started thinking about like, I think I should become more human and learn to
Well,
love.
I would disagree. I would say, as much as I agree with your point, I think on the flip side, it could be that, he didn't have a protocol anymore, so he searched out for a new protocol,
Right.
which he decided was protecting this woman. He even says, like, they don't have sex. He just, like,
Right.
protects her. So I feel like
But
he
it kinda
searched
goes
out for something, he
against a
just
lot
grabbed
of
the other
other
thing he
But
wanted.
Terminator
for it to be
lore.
true AI, it has to be able to learn and to
Right.
adapt, and so he is able to do that. And I don't think
I
it's
guess that
unreasonable.
is in Terminator 2, they teach the 800 like how to adapt to
Yeah.
things and how to smile kind of and stuff.
But that isn't that the baseline for AI is its ability to
guess so.
self-learn.
I guess I just don't think of Terminators as having AI. Like I think of them as just like
Robots.
They're the
single,
tools
single
of AI.
machines.
Robots, yeah.
Like
it would
cool,
make
you
more
have
sense
one
if he just
objective.
blew up
But they have
after
to
he killed
solve
John
complex
Connor.
problems.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
it's not like a drone flying in the air, the sky that's just dropping bombs. It has to adapt very quickly and
use.
solve problems.
That's fair enough.
That was kind of cool though.
Yeah, that was kind of cool to see, like, a legit drone being used.
just dropping out of the sky.
But like I will say, like, to your point, one of the first things I said when I did very little research. I will say
Good.
that. I did very
Fantastic.
little research, but I did know that, someone was trying to kill Sarah Connor, and I did have somebody tell me, like, very little. I told them, don't tell me a lot. Very little. They said, they're going to kill her because her son is going to become the leader of the resistance. And I said verbatim, well, then why not just kill the son?
Right.
That
That's the
makes no
plot of
sense.
the second one.
Why would you go for the mother? So to see them kill a young John Carter, I was like, okay, that's the way you get it done.
Totally.
But I mean, you could have
So-
saved a couple of your robots if you had just done that first.
Terminator 1 is a much less sophisticated movie. It came out in
Okay.
82, 83, 84, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Was that James Cameron?
Yeah, it is.
Produced,
Wasn't it? Yeah.
directed.
I don't remember. I don't have my iPad to look, but Terminator 2 is a bit more sophisticated and a bit more.
Like again,
Sorry,
Terminator 1
sophisticated as a movie about robots traveling.
No,
around
but
the
it's
future
about
could
the
be.
dangers of AI and, and the runaway
That I will
technology.
agree with. Yeah.
Terminator 1 is again very
It's
much
an
a
80s.
slasher film. It's
Yeah.
a like there's an unstoppable Jason type like killing machine who just like continually like trucks forward at these people and they can't stop, they can't rest. They're like fatigued and tired and they have no safe haven because he can murder all the police in the police station. He can do whatever he wants.
What is it that Sarah says? You could put 100 cops
Right.
between you
Which
and
is
them, and you're going
why
to get 100 dead cops.
In both Terminator 2 and this movie, the big baddie, when he's driving a car, he drives something you can't stop. So in Terminator 2, is the T-1000, right?
Yeah.
Is driving the semi-truck
Yeah.
in
The old
the Los Angeles
semi-truck,
River.
yeah.
In this one, he's driving a giant tractor.
Yeah.
He just plows through everything,
Yeah.
and you cannot stop him.
Yeah.
So that is...
Gabriel Luna. That's who plays the Terminator.
He did a great job.
He did fantastic.
Okay, so here's my thing. He did a Marvel shout out. He does play Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and he will play the Ghost Rider in Ghost Rider the television show that will be on Disney Plus. However,
So Disney Plus, I thought it was going to be Hulu. Is it moved to
it's
Disney
one of
Plus
the two.
now?
I believe it was Disney Plus, but it could be
Some
Hulu. It'll eventually
Disney-owned
something.
At
But I
D23, they
do
didn't
love me
announce it
some
with the-
Gabriel Luna. I love me some Gabriel Luna.
Really? Like
I love
like
him
as
as
a good
Ghost
actor,
Rider.
or like just an attractive man?
Well, a little bit of both. Not gonna lie to you. But I do love him as Ghost Rider. I think he is a fantastic Ghost Rider. He's one of my favorite characters in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is one of my favorite shows. Shout out Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I did have a problem kind of being scared of him because he played a robot so well. Like, it wasn't menacing. It was no emotion, which I get for a robot.
Right,
And
he
I
has
get
no
that.
emotion.
He has no emotion. He's a robot. I get that. At the same time, as crazy and as powerful as he is, I didn't find him menacing. I just found him kind of bland.
So yeah, I kind of felt the same way too, and I mean no disrespect to the actor,
Gabriel Luna.
to Gabriel, and he is a very pretty man.
He's a very I mean, he's also talented. I don't just
Oh
like him for his body.
no. But this goes directly towards his looks. If you're gonna have a terrifying, unstoppable AI, you don't have someone who is
Arnold
about
Schwarzenegger's
55 wide.
a
Yeah.
brick of a person.
Right.
Yeah.
So you need like The Rock would have been an unstoppable force.
I
I
think he's
don't
got
think
too
anybody
much
can
character.
take The Rock seriously
Okay,
as
sorry,
a
yeah.
villain.
I wouldn't cast The Rock, but like you want
I
someone
see what
who's
you're saying. Like a John Cena.
a John Cena, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the other pro wrestler? Dave Bautista.
Oh, yeah. I could
be
definitely
perfect
see Dave
because he's
Bautista,
menacing.
who I've met, and he is a teddy bear in real life.
I've
I
heard
bet.
nothing but good things about him.
Very, very, very strong man.
Yeah.
I mean, he gave me a hug. I almost died. It's not a big deal.
I blacked out for 4 minutes.
Squeezed too hard.
Just so
I'm a bit
loving.
jealous.
He is a very nice
But yeah,
guy.
no, Diego Luna, that's his name?
Gabriel Luna.
Gabriel.
Diego Luna, someone
Oh my
else.
God, Luke kept calling him my boyfriend. He kept calling him Diego Luna as well. But the actor who played the brother, his name is Diego.
Diego.
Gotcha.
So
But like, he's just kind of small.
he is. He's very thin.
Yeah.
But if you've ever watched
But
Agents of
the
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
T-1000 isn't like a jack
No,
mountain of a
but
man.
that guy had the walk, and he had this weird presence about him that was just terrifying.
Well,
but I
cold,
think
piercing
that makes
eyes.
sense.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense if you're trying to blend in with society.
This is true.
You
Yeah.
don't want to look like some big menacing character. You want to like.
The
to be
part
fair
where
though,
he was
he has
walking
the
into
part
the Border Patrol
where he
thing.
talks to Border Patrol.
Yeah, and he's like,
and
my
he
whole
talks-
body's a weapon, chief.
he's-
And they're like, save it for the ladies. I was like, I buy this interaction.
I get
Right.
that he would do this.
You could tell me that seems improv, and I believe you.
But my favorite scene with him is when he's talking to the state troopers, and in no way would this be a normal conversation.
Right.
In
Do you
no
know where I
way.
can get my
Do you
hands on
know
a
where I could get
helicopter?
my hands on a helicopter? Would
Of
be
course.
anything that would make sense to anyone in the world ever.
But I think that makes sense. Like, that's where you see the cracks in the armor a little
Yeah.
bit. That's
Right.
where you see
Yeah.
that he's an AI. Like,
He's
where he shows
off.
up to the door and he's like, is Danielle here? It's like, well, that's weird. Her friends call her Danny. It's like, right,
Now I'm
Danny.
gonna kill you.
By the way,
You're dead.
you're dead. Like,
so-
gotcha. Just gonna save that in the memory banks.
What happened to Taco?
And now we're gonna go.
Oh, Taco was
What happened to Taco?
killed and eaten.
Poor Taco.
Although no,
Eaten.
okay, so he was Brie, my girlfriend, caught this. I believe they were pronouncing it Taquito, but
Taquito.
the
Yeah.
the subtitles
Said
Kept saying
taco.
taco.
I'm like, that is not
They're
the
like,
same thing.
and those white people
I've
won't know.
been to Trader Joe's and I know those are not the same thing.
As a Californian, I can assure you they are not.
As a North Carolinian, I did not know that.
That's right. You guys eat the hard shell tacos with the grated cheddar cheese and the ground
I don't
beef.
see what's wrong with this. Is there something wrong with that? We call that Tex-Mex, sir.
That's not even Tex-Mex.
That's just Taco Bell.
Which is delicious.
Whiskey
Point
Tango.
made.
Yeah.
Move on.
Moving on.
I see you to the point. Now, one of the things I really liked was some of the visual effects was really bad, but I actually really liked all the arm work and the blade work.
Yeah.
You know, he was quite terrifying with all and like when some people would grab him, he'd just start shooting out
little
all
knife
over.
things,
Yeah.
little porcupine quills.
They didn't do that in number 2.
No, which makes sense that he could have.
Yeah, if people start piling, you
Yeah.
start fucking ripping them apart.
It's like a bunch
Which
of Border Patrol agents.
It is a
jump
bit of
on
a
him.
plot hole because he doesn't do it there at the end. When
Yeah.
I mean, he does it a
yeah.
little, but not that
A
much.
little bit. I think he does once or something. That's how
Yeah.
someone gets hurt or
My
something. I don't
biggest
know.
gripe with the movie, though, is they don't explain his. He can split into 2, right?
Yeah.
So he's got the skeleton,
Yeah.
which I'm assuming is the brain, and then the liquid version of him. And so at any point they can split and come back apart.
Yeah, but there doesn't seem to be any downside to them being split
So why
or
not always
together.
stay split?
Right.
That was kind of my thought too.
Yeah.
I was hoping there'd be a little bit of a side, like a one-off line. It was like, yeah, they're
They can't be-
extra
yeah.
dangerous. Like when they're together, you have to deal with them being durable and like being able to change into a weapon at will.
Yeah.
Right.
But when they're split, you have to deal with 2 of them. You got like 2 killing machines. So it's like, it's kind of the logic I pieced together, but there was never really like, oh, they're weaker when they're separate. That's when we need to strike,
Right,
or
right.
any sort of explanation to it.
I will say at the same time, you only really see him split in fights.
That's
Which makes
true.
sense
Yeah.
Right.
because if he's trying to blend in with society, you don't
can't-
want to be split into 2
Yeah.
because it's
True.
going to be confused. So really, I mean, but the thing is, he doesn't split at the beginning of a fight. He splits kind of like when it's like, oh,
I need the extra.
I need
boost.
the extra boost. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and split.
I
which
would
doesn't make sense.
imagine there is a deleted scene that explains it that
Yeah.
for whatever reason got cut.
No,
Just
makes
for
sense.
time or something.
Right. Yeah.
Speaking of things that could have been cut for time, I feel like you could have taken a whole 30 minutes off of this movie and it would have been just fine.
Which parts?
The
Yeah.
EMT part. I think you could have gotten rid of not EMT, sorry,
the
EMP.
EMP, yeah.
The whole
Oh.
EMP part, that whole chunk right there, I think you could have taken that completely out of the movie and it would have been just fine.
I
I
actually disagree.
think they needed that to be like, cool, we have a plan.
Right.
And then that plan has to go awry so that Grace can be like, well, use my power source. Use the thing that's keeping my
Right.
augments alive.
You need to put him at the lowest,
and
most
and
desperate
that's
moment.
also kind of a theme of all the Terminator movies is there's a meaningful sacrifice.
Right.
Okay.
Terminator 1, Kyle Reese sacrifices himself to
Yeah.
save Sarah
The
Connor.
human who's sent from
The
Okay,
human
I
that
was
get yeah, Kyle Reese.
So just to
Kyle
clarify,
Reese
in the first
slash
one, it's
John
man
Connor
versus
is dead.
machine completely.
Okay.
So the human sent from the future is just a man.
Yeah.
He's a very attractive man, and he's a good fighter.
And also, father's a baby.
Named John Connor.
Oh, snap!
His friend is actually his son. He never knew.
Fun fact?
Yeah.
Never knew that.
Yeah.
Well, now you do.
There
And
you
so
go.
I'm
It's
learning
worth.
so much.
Okay, you
Spoilers
really
for
should probably
1980
go-
something.
From before I was born. I was born
Oh,
before
Jesus.
that spoiler.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie.
You should
I'm
you
still
should watch
30.
it. The furthest and second one. The other ones you don't worry about it.
The
I do wanna
second
watch
one,
them all,
yeah.
I will
The
say
second
that.
one, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, the T-800 sacrificed himself, and that's his like completion of like learning to love.
It bothered me. Like
But
I
how
was
is
like in
he-
5th grade when that came out, and as he's lowering Arnold Schwarzenegger, it devastated me
Yeah.
as a child.
Because they're trying to destroy any remnants of Skynet, and he says there's one more Skynet like
When he,
processor,
like, takes himself
and
out.
it's in his brain. So he's like, you got to destroy
They
me
lower
too.
him into like a vat of liquid metal,
And
and,
the
so he's
yeah.
hanging there like all fucked up, just one, and he's hanging there, and the kid has to push the button
Yeah,
and it gets lower.
it's
and
like
he just
old
does
Yeller
this and
bad
looks
of
at it.
like
It's like
I'm killing my friend.
because it's the kid's only friend. They got this bond. It's
Yeah.
devastating.
It's yeah,
I mean, it's like,
a
it's
full
good
character
movie.
arc. Yeah, that's why the second one's still the best in the
I'll
series.
watch it. I feel
Yeah.
like I want to watch it.
Third
now.
one, I don't
you
remember.
should.
The third one's just
3, 4, and 5. Is there 6? I don't
Just
know.
what's
The
Six.
series.
Yeah, those all just kind of blur together.
Yeah.
It's just one bad memory.
I think I wrote in my notes that Judgment Day happens probably next year because Danny
Yeah.
looks like she is 2 days older in the flash forward.
She's got mud on her face, so clearly time has
she's
passed.
braided her hair.
And my favorite thing though is that
There's a lot of
Grace,
braids.
young Grace, has the same haircut, so that you know it's young Grace.
Right. Well, they do that a lot in movies because people are stupid.
But are they if she's saying
This
she's
is me.
narrating that that's her, that she had to have the exact same haircut?
Maybe
Don't
she's
you?
into it. Maybe she
You
likes
see
that.
public comments in your job on social media. You know people are dumb.
Yeah, people are stupid.
Except for our viewers.
Yeah.
You
Comment
guys.
below.
The best.
You don't comment, so we know you're not dumb.
Right.
I guess for me, what didn't line up is that I would say that Danny is like 20 at
Sure.
the least.
Somewhere in that
Even if
neighborhood,
we're
yeah.
saying
I would say
Danny
she's like
is a
20.
mid-teenager in present day
Yes.
and becomes the commander of this resistance thing, even at the start of the resistance
Yes.
at like
That's
20,
20 years
there
from now.
is humongous leaps and bounds in artificial intelligence and like nuclear war and stuff within 5 years.
Well, don't they
Yes.
say 2040?
They
No,
do.
she's from 2045.
2045.
Right, so
Grace
that's
is from
so
2045.
25 years from now.
Yeah,
that
25.
doesn't
Like,
quite
so
add up
55.
on there.
Yeah.
Maybe they have some really great like
Well,
facial
45
creams
if she's
in
20.
That's
Maybe
true.
45.
45, yeah.
But still.
Being a scavenger in the
only thing is she's got-
post-apocalyptic does
And
great
I guess
things
for
your
me,
skin.
what was even more annoying about the timeline, I will say, is when they see Grace at the end and she's already like 12.
Yeah.
It's like, so what is this all gonna happen in like the next 2 years?
It
Yeah.
did seem like there was some fuzzy math on kind of the
Although
timeline there a
does
little
it
bit.
still happen? Do they go on to prevent?
No, I think this is like Terminator 1 where they just stop this one. There's going to need to be another movie where like we have to
Yeah.
stop the Rav 9.
Right, but that's
We
what
have to
it's
stop
gonna be.
Legion
Because
from
that was
existing.
that was one of my biggest things that ends on such a hopeful note, and at the same time it's like, by saving Danny, you're not like, she kept saying, Grace kept being like, it's billions of people that are gonna die, it's billions, not millions but billions, they're still gonna die if you save Danny, no matter
Right.
what, they're still
But-
gonna die. Why do you keep repeating
But they
that?
won't go extinct. Danny will like take all the scavengers and make them into militia and then take those militias and build them into an army and start
However,
a resistance.
John was supposed to do that before,
which he did,
he
but
died.
then he died. But
So
that
if
was
Danny
post they
does
stopped
die,
Skynet.
I would
so-
imagine that somebody else would take over.
Right.
Maybe.
Like, that's kind of
Yeah,
where
but
they're
those are
leading
two totally
to.
different futures. So in
With
the
Legion instead
right,
of Skynet,
it's
which
Skynet.
you never said.
Right.
I'm gonna go cross-eyed.
Yeah.
Well,
It's-
T2 ends
It's a
with the destruction
whole
of Skynet
ball
and
of
the
noodles,
CEO of
and then
Skynet
see if he
having
just
a come
kinda
to Jesus,
twist it.
realizing he created the thing that destroys humanity, and he sacrifices himself for the betterment of humanity,
Okay.
and thus preventing this horrible future.
Okay.
So, I don't know if they make another movie. I think that's where this is going to be going. Is where Sarah Connor and what's her name?
Danny.
go on to destroy.
Forgetting her name.
I don't know.
names are hard.
It's the booze. Clyde Mays, you make me forget shit.
Clyde Mays. They make you forget shit.
Speaking of which, I think we can argue, like time travel, we can just keep going in circles.
Oh, all the time.
So, final thoughts. Make it quick.
I liked it. Go see it. It's fun, and just kind of forget about some of the holes through it.
It's nice to hear your voice, Jason.
I know I was pretty quiet this
You've been
episode.
very quiet.
Yep.
You're just kind of sitting over there, just kind of
Jason,
like,
when did you get
I'm
there?
on my
I'm just
second
getting
one of
drunk.
these already, and I'm just enjoying the show.
Really?
I'm like,
When did you get a second?
I don't know.
here at Whiskey Movie Club, we're good at secret pours.
Yep.
That's true.
We're not alcoholics, but we enjoy drinking.
Oh, well, that makes sense. As long as you're not doing it alone.
That's the difference, right?
Yeah.
But if
Alcoholics go
I
to clubs, right?
if I had to give
Wait a second.
Jason, your final thoughts.
My final thoughts, despite the plot holes, I thought it was fantastic. Maybe it's because I went into it with almost zero expectations. I thought it was shot well. I thought it was decently written. I thought the scenes were well executed. Aside from a few misses with CGI, I think the visual effects were great. I had a great time. The jokes landed when they were supposed to land. I look forward to it coming out on digital so I can watch it again. I mean, I'm not going to pay to go to the theater again.
Sure.
No.
You know, actually, that's an interesting point because one of the things we talk about a lot is
Would we see it?
should you see it in the theater? Because not all movies like Zombieland Double Tap, because we reviewed that last week.
Poor Zombieland. Double Tap.
Well, I mean,
it's
you
like the
could.
go-to bad movie.
Well, it's only because it's the one we just watched.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
You could wait to see that at home. You don't need the big screen experience for it, whereas like say a Avengers Endgame, you need the big screen
Yes.
experience. I think Terminator Dark Fate, you need the big screen experience.
Agreed.
Huge screen, super cool speakers. I think you need it for this if you're gonna see it.
I
That's
don't
the-
disagree.
Yeah, I mean,
But again, I think I agree with where your point's going. Is it's a one-time stop. You don't.
Oh, yeah, you're not
It's
gonna
not.
keep
You're
going.
not going to go see this multiple
yeah,
times. in
this is not
theaters.
Titanic.
Did you see Titanic multiple times?
No, but a lot of people did.
My mom did.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, do you remember like? were
It's
you-
not Avengers Endgame. It's not Star Wars. Where
I
you
only
need
saw
to see it a
Endgame
couple
once in the
times.
I
theater.
only saw
Oh,
it
yeah.
again
Although I
once
saw
in
Ad
the theater.
Astra twice, and I wish I had seen it 4 times in the theater.
Well, there you go.
There's many movies I've
It
seen
takes
more
a
than once in
village.
I love that movie so much.
Anyway,
All right, so how
Moving on.
about?
final
Oh, final
thoughts.
thoughts?
Oh yes.
I do think that if you're looking for something with a strong female protagonist, this movie has 3. which is really nice. It doesn't call attention to the fact that the main characters are strong female protagonists,
They
which
just kick
I
a lot of ass.
thoroughly enjoy. I do agree that if you can get past the plot holes and some of the corny lines that I feel don't quite land.
This is true.
Then
And there is
it's
some
worth
bad
watching.
acting. I mean, Linda Hamilton hasn't become a better actress since 1982.
No, she's playing the same character.
No, I don't mean that it's the same character.
Oh.
I mean that she hasn't become better at acting.
Sure. But it
just remembered
fits
something.
because it's the same character. That's true. Had she suddenly gotten better, I'd be like, something's different.
It's got continuity.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
very good point.
Yeah.
You're about to say something.
There was one other thing that did bother me, which was the potato chips, the potato chip bags, and the cell phone really bothered me.
Oh, but
very
it comes
badly.
out later that it didn't work.
Yes, but why? But okay, so I really wanted Danielle or Danny or whatever we're calling her. Name is Danny. By the
Danny?
way, Danny.
Is it D-A-N-I or
yes,
D-A-N-N-Y?
yes.
D-N-I.
Like Sarah asks her if she has a cell phone. She says yes, and she throws the cell phone out the window. And I'm like, perfect, because you don't want to be tracked. It's true. Then they get to the motel room, and she has like 10 bags of Ruffles, product placement, 10 bags of Ruffles, and it turns out she was like, yeah, I keep my phone in a potato chip bag because the aluminum makes it so they can't track
Track it.
them. I wanted Danny to be like, well, then why the fuck did you throw mine out the window?
Yeah.
Why didn't you? You have 10 bags of potato chips.
There's a trunk full of them.
Why
Yeah.
did you throw mine out the window instead of just putting it in a bag of potato chips? You
think
have 10
I-
of them.
I had
Because
that
she's a
same-
diva and she wanted her moment.
But I wanted Danny to say it. Like,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
really wanted Danny to be like, why the fuck did you throw my phone out the
Man,
window?
That's not cool.
And I thought maybe she had like a burner phone. No, she has like a fucking iPhone like 20.
Well, okay, now I wrote
You
that
hate technology and you have
Yeah.
like the latest Apple iPhone.
I wrote that away in my brain as she was getting the text messages on that phone.
Yeah.
So she felt she had to protect that phone or she'd stop getting the text messages.
Yeah.
So that's why she couldn't throw her phone away and that's why she kept him back. Now, I also like that she threw away Danny's phone because it's just like Linda Hamilton's like
I did love
Sarah
that
Connor's
moment.
just like, I don't care about you. Like,
I
I'm
just
not
felt
going
like-
to put it in a bag. Those are my potato chips.
Although
Like,
you did turn to me and you said that was the Luke Skywalker moment with like the
No,
lightsaber.
the sunglasses.
Oh, the sunglasses.
This is a Luke
Yeah,
Skywalker
that's right,
moment
yes.
when he throws the lightsaber
Yeah.
over his shoulder
Yeah.
instead of putting
That's
the
true.
glasses.
I don't need these.
But I did have a problem with it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Overall, had a good time. Yeah, it's fun. Like I said, it's probably one of the last summer action movies we're gonna get. It's kind of late in the season for it,
it's
but
November.
we're crouching up on like Oscar season, so we're gonna
So-
be getting a lot of like real
Artsy.
big scope like
Speaking
Period
of which,
pieces.
movies.
what are we
yeah.
watching next week?
Next week, I believe we're watching Doctor Sleep.
Doctor Sleep. Well, it's kind of a summer movie. I
Could
mean,
be,
It's not. It's
but
not
I think
Oscar bait.
it's not quite Oscar bait. I think it's kind of the tail end of like
Why is it coming out 2 weeks after
Halloween. I don't know.
It
Did
seems
you
like
have the trailer before your movie?
Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
No.
I did.
Yeah. I also had the holiday horror movie, which is my least favorite genre.
Black Christmas.
Yeah, in the world.
I like Black Christmas, but I feel that trailer gives away the whole plot of the movie.
Yeah.
That's
We'll move on.
So, what do y'all think about Clyde Mays
It doesn't
straight
suck.
bourbon whiskey? It does not
Smell
suck.
it?
No.
Pretty
I'd like to
good.
smell it.
Smell away. Stick your,
like I
your
said.
nose in the bottle.
I said at the top of the episode, probably in the upper third. I would put it if
I agree.
you know haven't gone through ranking all of them.
Upper
It's-
half, at
Yeah,
least.
definitely upper half. We've had
got a
some
lot
that
of
I'm like,
character.
this either just burns too hard or it doesn't have enough flavor profile.
You know what it reminds me of?
This has got a good.
Rabbit Hole.
Okay,
This
yeah.
Rabbit Hole
Yeah.
has a lot of character. It's not necessarily the best tasting, but it's just got a lot going on. And this is in a similar boat.
Gotcha.
I don't know, it's a fun
Sure.
it's a fun sipping one. It's not one you can sip and just kind of forget, what you're doing. It's aggressive.
Can I
It's
try?
not-
Can I try it?
Yeah.
Just like pure.
You want to go straight from the
I
bottle?
want to try pure.
Yeah,
Try
do
pure.
it.
I mean, mine's empty, so I can go
I was
ahead.
gonna say probably not gonna be anyone's favorite ever, but it's
Just want to try.
good. It's fine.
You know what I think about it, because I like spicy food because I like
Okay.
the intensity of it, and this is kind of like a spicy food of whiskey. I mean, it's not rye because rye is obviously very spicy, but
Makes
it's
me not wanna
aggressive.
Try it right now. It's like the Hot Ones version of
No,
whiskey.
no.
No.
Yeah.
When I
No.
mean spicy,
Going up to the
Like
next
it's got
With hotter questions
it
and even
tingles
hotter
on your
whiskey.
tongue. Yeah.
There we go. Oh, I don't mind that.
yeah, it's
No.
not bad.
It's tamer than some whiskeys I've tried.
All right, and next week, tune in for Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep.
But where can they find you guys?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Captain Frucci.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
I am at Elena Jean, ALANEAJEAN.
Where's the gene come from?
It's my middle name. It's one of my middle names. I have 2 middle names, but we'll talk about that later.
That's
We're wrapping
Fancy.
up.
Think she's better than us
Leave
with
them in
extra middle
suspense.
names.
I'm at JD Knight Films with Instagram and Twitter as well.
Find me at Real Jason Miller, and please comment below with anything you think we got right, wrong, or write us a haiku. It's all good. And don't forget to hit subscribe and catch us next week for
Dr.
Sleep, the sequel to The Shining. It's ambitious, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, it's Kubrick. Anyway, cheers.